Unless you have been without any media access for the past 20 years, you are most likely aware of the issues surrounding asbestos exposure and the cancer known as mesothelioma. You may have been exposed yourself and either have the disease or are concerned about it. You have also probably heard about the huge amount of litigation these issues have spawned, as well as the astronomical amounts of money awarded by the courts in such legal actions, sometimes running into the 8- and 9-figure range. While it is true that there continues to be a tremendous amount of litigation over asbestos issues, such large awards to individuals are rare and are usually reduced on appeal. The fact is that asbestos litigation is tremendously complex, encompassing a very wide range of legal, medical, political, social, and historical issues. For this reason, there are many law firms and attorneys today that specialize in asbestos litigation to the exclusion of other areas of the law. Asbestos. What is it? The ancient Egyptians and Romans knew of asbestos and its uses. Pliny the Elder, a Roman author, philosopher, and naval commander who lived during the reigns of Tiberius, Caligula, and Claudius, described it as a magic mineral. Like rock, asbestos does not burn, yet it is soft and pliable enough to be woven into clothing and wicks for oil lamps. This is because asbestos literally is made of stone. More accurately, it is a group of 6 different silicate minerals, the most common of which is called chrysotile. Also known as serpentine, chrysotile fibers are curly and flexible. This was the most widely used form of asbestos during the industrial age. The other 5 are called chrysotolite, amosite, anthophyllite, tremolite, and actinolite. All 6 of these contain exceptionally dangerous, long, needle-like fibers called amphiboles. Chrysotolite is also called blue asbestos. These fibers are substantially stronger than those made from chrysotile. Amosite is better known as brown asbestos because of its iron content and is highly resistant to corrosive acids, making it very useful in chemical industries. In addition to the 6 types of asbestos described earlier, there are a number of other substances that are as of yet unregulated. 2 of these are known as richterite and winchite. Richterite is a relatively rare mineral used for lapidary purposes. Winchite is an asbestiform amphibole found in vermiculite deposits in Libby, Montana, where much of the country's asbestos was mined. There is also strong evidence that talc, used in baby powder and cosmetics, is also toxic. The rate of mesothelioma among talc miners in Jefferson County, New York, is among the highest in the nation. Both chrysotolite and amosite have largely been banned. Chrysotile and tremolite were primarily mined and used in the U.S. and Canada. Whitish gray in color, they are still found in hundreds of products and perhaps as many as 750,000 public buildings across the country. Until recently, asbestos was still legal in the U.S. A 1989 ban by the Environmental Protection Agency was overturned by the U.S. 5th District of Appeals in 1991. This recently changed. A bill in Congress, S.742, known as the Ban Asbestos in America Act, gained broad bipartisan support and was passed into law in the fall of 2007. Health effects of asbestos exposure. Were you to look at asbestos fibers under a microscope, you would see long, sharp, spear-like objects or structures similar to steel springs. These cannot be seen with an unaided eye. As dust, they may be inhaled or ingested by the millions. When these microscopic objects enter the alveolar sacs of the lungs, they create small lacerations, resulting in the formation of scar tissue. Eventually, they penetrate the pleural lining of the lungs, causing damage on a cellular level. Because of their microscopic size, these asbestos fibers can ultimately reach every part of the body, including the brain. Pathologists have even discovered that such fibers can be passed from mother to fetus. The body's defense mechanisms are actually able to identify these asbestos fibers as foreign invaders, like a bacterium or a virus. Unlike bacteria or virus, however, asbestos fibers are completely inorganic. Antibodies have no effect on them. Instead, these antibodies literally impale themselves on the fibers. This causes their caustic digestive molecules to come into contact with lung tissues, leading to yet more irritation and scarring. Ultimately, the victim develops asbestosis or mesothelioma. The former is caused by the buildup of scar tissue on the lungs, which reduces lung capacity to a point at which the patient literally suffocates. Mesothelioma is a particularly aggressive and malignant form of cancer. Symptoms can take as long as 40 years to manifest. Once this happens, however, in most cases, the patient dies within 5 years. High-risk occupations. The U.S. government's involvement in the asbestos industry dates back to 1934. In September of that year, a passenger ship called the SS Morro Castle caught fire off the coast of New Jersey, killing 1/5 of those aboard. During the ensuing Senate hearings, lobbyists for the marine industry applied pressure for the use of the fire-resistant material in ship buildings, while corporations involved in the asbestos industry itself, acutely aware that huge profits were to be made, ensured that information on the health effects of asbestos, which had been documented for several years in Great Britain, were not widely available to Congress nor discussed. Eventually, the U.S. government became aware of these dangers, but failed to take action until 1943, when standards were issued. These were recommendations that precautions be taken by shipyard workers. However, these were not strictly enforced until the 1970s, when the corporate cover-up regarding asbestos could no longer be concealed. Virtually all people on the planet have suffered asbestos exposure to some degree. However, the people at risk for developing are those who have had worked in specific industries for an extended time, particularly in closed environments and facilities constructed prior to the 1980s. Because asbestos was widely used primarily as an insulation against fire, heat, electricity, and/or corrosive chemicals, chances are that anyone who worked in an industrial setting where one or more of these elements were present has been exposed to asbestos fibers. Because of the latency of diseases such as mesothelioma, that is, the period of time between exposure to asbestos and the appearance of symptoms, determining liability is difficult in many cases. It is one of the reasons that asbestos litigation is highly complex and time-consuming. Because of this, great amounts of meticulous research and documentation is required in order to build a case. Because asbestos litigation has been ongoing since the late 1960s, however, there is a large amount of case law and precedent upon which to draw. In addition, many law firms maintain extensive databases of information regarding asbestos manufacturers, their successors and customers, various locations in which asbestos products were used, and more. Thank you for watching. This video was produced by Asbestos.Net, a leading resource on all aspects of asbestos and mesothelioma. Our priority is to inform victims about the devastating effects of asbestos exposure, mesothelioma, asbestos cancer, asbestosis, and other asbestos-related diseases, and to advise them with a wealth of information. Individuals whose lives have been touched by mesothelioma have numerous questions and concerns. Their caregivers and family members also need accurate, reliable information. If you or a loved one have been diagnosed with mesothelioma or asbestos cancer and need more information, we invite you to visit and explore the thousands of pages of oncologist-reviewed material on Asbestos.net, to call our convenient toll-free number shown below and speak with a mesothelioma specialist, or to use the simple contact form found at Asbestos.net to request a free copy of our informative books, custom inserts, and DVD. Asbestos.net. Information and help for patients and families.